Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Eli Camp, and this is my podcast, Vital Wisdom. This is where I talk about health, wellness, raising children, homesteading, and lots of other topics, all from a vitalistic perspective. I believe the body can heal itself if it's given what it needs, is not poisoned, and if the innate healing ability is supported and not suppressed. It's my intention to bring what I have learned in my life, especially in the 24 years that I've been either training or practicing to be a physician, to help you be your own best doctor. This episode is part of a 12-part series where I and one of my mentors, Dr. Letitia Dick Cronenberg, talk about what we call the axioms of naturopathic medicine, of holistic medicine, really, of vitalistic medicine. Each axiom can really be thought of as a law of natural healing, and they guide a naturopathic doctor in the practice of their medicine. They're not often discussed, but they're critical for understanding how the body becomes and stays healthy. Or on the reverse side, when they're violated, how a body shows signs of illness. Thanks for joining me and enjoy the episode.
Good morning, Eli. How are you doing today?
Good. Good morning.
Hey, it's wonderful to be here again.
Yes. Another awesome, vital conversation.
Yes, as always, going back to the roots of how this all started. Yeah. Well, let's see. Today, we're talking about the second axiom of nature, which is health as balance, right?
It's tricky, that balance. You know, the name of my practice is The Art of Balanced Health, and I didn't even think about this axiom when I named my clinic.
Wow, that's perfect. That's just perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. Well, I want to start with Jim Sensenek's quote. He said, naturopathic medicine is based on universal principles that are true and hold true for all time. We don't have to change what we're doing for the 21st century because the same rules and laws that apply to nature and in the natural process of healing are immutable. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about these axioms or laws that are always there, that we can always depend on. And that's what we base our nature care practice on.
They seem really simple, these laws on the surface, don't they? And then when you start to think about them and break them apart and understand how they apply, there's so many layers to this health as balance.
Yeah, like you mentioned right before we started the talk, it's not just, as I think you said it, it's not just the internal balance, it's all of the balance, mental, emotional, family balance, community balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
I kind of think it like permaculture for humans, right?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what it is. We're like permaculturing for humans. It's like you have to have the right soil and all these things interact, and you have to have the balance or the ecosystem. That's kind of how I think of it. Health is balance.
And it just can take it can take many things that go out of whack, but it can also take one small thing that's kind of like a linchpin. And until you fix that piece, you don't get balance. The spinning top is off kilter, right? And it's wobbly. And those wobbles are symptoms that we see.
That's right. That's right. And those symptoms guide you to the cure.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that we pay attention to as naturopaths to tell us what needs to shift, what needs to change for that person. How can you bring that person back into balance with their immune system or with their lymphatic system or their liver or their, You know, those little things. I pay attention to those little things that people say because it leads you to the remedy or the cure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
find that too.
Yeah, especially in homeopathy when you have that rare and peculiar symptom that somebody has. Well, I can only lay on my left side, but then at 3 a.m. I have to flip. You know, it's like, what? Why? Why do you have to do that? What is that thing that's happening that you have to do that? You know, that's, and they never, well, I've never told anybody this before. Well, you've never had a doctor like me ask you. So, right?
It's true. It's true. Or if they do say something, to one of their practitioners, it doesn't even get charted or noted because for them that's not important information. And maybe that's one of the things that sets us apart as naturopathic doctors, sort of rooted in the vitalistic perspective, is what information is important. Like we wouldn't discard anything like that. And what's important to us to guide someone in restoring health is absolutely not important to a practitioner who's just managing and trying to eradicate or suppress symptoms.
Yeah, total different view, total different view and paradigm there.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, and it's so sad because they miss so much. Allopaths miss so much. It's really disconcerting there. But yeah. Well, I'm going to throw in a quote here from Hahnemann. All right. I love Hahnemann.
My guy.
Right. In the healthy condition of man, the spiritual vital force, the dynamis that animates the material body, rules with unbounded sway and retains all the parts of the organism in admirable, harmonious, vital operation as regards both sensations and functions, so that our indwelling, reasonable, gifted mind can freely employ this living, healthy instrument for the higher purpose of our existence. That's health is balance right there, right? Lindlar says, health is normal and harmonious vibration of the elements and forces composing the human being on the physical, mental, and moral planes of being in conformity with the constructive principle in nature applied to individual life. And the other one I pulled up was Spittler. Nothing of value can be added to the normal environment. And I say this a little differently to my patients. I say, you cannot poison the body back to health. Mm-hmm. It is impossible to add a poison to the body and be healthier. It doesn't work that way. It will never work that way. The poison may suppress a symptom, but it will never bring you back to a healthier state.
It's true. It's true. And when we have to use something to preserve life, because without it, the person would move on to the next phase of their journey.
Right.
We do that knowing that this substance may not reestablish health. It may not reestablish the conditions of health, but it preserves life long enough that you can then, undo the effects of the poison that you had to use to save life, and then get about the business of restoring balance so that health blooms. Yeah.
Right. I tell folks, listen, you've got to go do these things. And when you get released from the hospital, then you're going to come immediately to my clinic and I'm going to start working on you to get you back in shape. Mm-hmm. So you got to do these things to save your life, or, you got to do chemo or radiation. Maybe sometimes you have to do that. Maybe sometimes you have to go through a drastic surgery. Sometimes we have to do these things, but, and that's what the allopaths are good at, I think. Although I'm worried about robotic surgery these days because I don't think surgeons have the skills they used to have. And now that we're turning that over to robots to do, we're losing people that actually have hands-on skills. And that scares the crap out of me for a heart surgery, for example. But anyway, I diverged. So
Well, no, well, wait, before we go on, this is so true because
yeah,
this is individualization, which I know we're going to talk about later this year.
right.
I remember from doing cadaver dissections,
Mhm.
how surprised I was that nobody looked the same on the inside. Like the heart was, there was a heart, there were lungs, but everything looked a little bit different. How could you possibly program a robot to anticipate all those variations of individuality, where a human is rational and can think and say, oh, this is here in this person's, yeah.
Oh,
Robots, huh?
I'm with you. I've had a number of folks who've gone through robotic surgery and they go back for issues. Well, this didn't get closed up right, or they cut the something nerve, or they, oh my God. It's like if you had a person in there with hands on, they going, wait, there's the nerve. We can't touch that part. We got, it's just scary. I'm sorry.
Well, I wonder why they made that move.
I don't
So
know. Maybe it's
there
quick.
is something that I struggle with in restoring, helping people restore balance in practice. And I was excited to talk to you about it today and pick your brain and get some wisdom. So folks come in with, I don't want to say they're not on their deathbed. They're not even necessarily really, really, really sick. They just don't feel as well as they used to. They don't feel as well as they know they could feel. And they're often on a couple of medications, and they don't have too many bad vices. They may do coffee, they may have a beer, and they come in with this idea that we're going to change the diet and we're going to give them some herbs, and then everything's going to be fine. And I struggle a little bit with this conversation with people when I say, well, we can do that stuff and that's going to help, but there's a lot more that we have to look at that they didn't even know that we would explore these areas, and they get kind of overwhelmed. Well, what do you do? How do you do this with people where
Well, I always simplify things back to a couple of things I always watched my dad do that was always successful. First, we do change the diet with the Carroll food intolerance method. And it's critical to do something like that to stop putting the toxin into the tissue. Stop bringing in the inflammatory foods, because it matters how we feed the body. And Hahnemann said that in one of the first aphorisms there. We must change the diet. And so I don't care how complicated the case is, that's the very first thing. If they're dairy intolerant, you got to get them off dairy. If they're egg intolerant, you got to get them off egg. Then the lymphatic system can move, then the toxins can be pushed through the liver and processed, then the emunctories can open, basically, right? Second thing is hydrotherapy, because yes, that moves the emunctories, opens channels, and then the homeopathic remedy works better. Then the herb or whatever works better. But as people go through that first change, you start seeing the mental emotional stuff come up. So I usually don't address the mental emotional until we start laying down those foundational things. Then we see, oh, this is what's happening with you. This is the stress load you're under, or this is you're going through a divorce, or you've got this family thing, or then you start coaching them. Then you go, well, okay. And if I'm not the good fit for that, I find someone who is. Got great mental health people I can refer people to. Sometimes I do some work with them, but underlying most of this stuff, of course, is that mental emotional issue. So that's how I approach it. That's how my dad always approached it, is let's just start with the diet, stop putting the toxins into the tissues. And even if you can just get them on a cleaner diet, for God's sake, don't do fast foods, and please don't buy the packaged whatever. Go get a whole head of lettuce and cut it up and make your own food. If you can get people just to make that shift, it's huge right now, right? And they think, oh, it's too expensive, or I don't have time. It's like, you have to have time for your health. if you don't have time for you're not going to be here to have time for other things. So you have to focus on this first. And that's part of the health is balance. People have really shifted their priorities in their lives to not taking care of themselves, not taking care of their families. It's all about rush around here, rush around there, or hey, let's go have some fun and do this stuff. It's like, yeah, well, that's fun if you feel healthy enough to go do those things, but you need to be in it for the long haul, and you got to take care of yourselves. I had a fella just this week with severe hypertension, came in with a 200 over 100 blood pressure. He's in his early 40s. He's a heavy drinker and partier. And he canceled an appointment on me Monday because he got too blasted at the Super Bowl party and couldn't come in to see me because he didn't want to come in with a hangover. And so when I finally got him in yesterday, we had a talk, and his blood pressure is doing much better despite the binging he just had. And just with some simple changes I've made to his diet and some nutritional support for his hypertension. And he asked me bluntly, well, do you drink? And I said, yeah, once in a while. He goes, oh, well, I bet not much. And I go, well, I know my limit. And no, I don't drink much. Once in a while, I'll have half a beer. That's my limit. I'm not a big person. And he started making fun of me. Like, oh, well, you're one of those. And I said, yeah, I'm your doctor telling you you're an alcoholic and you need to stop drinking. He goes, wow. What? All alcohol? And I go, I'm your doctor and I'm telling you, you need to stop drinking if you really want to get this hypertension and concerns under control. Because you're either headed for liver cancer, or you're headed for pancreatic cancer, or you're headed for a heart attack. I don't know which, but pick.
Or yeah.
And I said, and don't make fun of your doctor.
Don't make fun of your doctor.
And he was like set back, and he's like, oh, you're serious. I go, yeah. Why'd you come to me?
Right.
I'm serious with you. So it was really interesting, but he's doing better, and he kind of changed his attitude around me. So I don't know. He's a pretty aggressive guy, but everybody, you got to meet them at their level and work with them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had a gal who came in, and I had written an article actually about balancing factors in your life if you're really seeking health, that you start, and it touched on like top 10. Look at food, look at sleep, look at water, look at your activity level, our cornerstones of what we know creates a healthy organism. Mm-hmm. And she came in against, she didn't want to be there. Her husband made her come, completely turn her life upside down, and she wouldn't be able to do anything, and that she would fail. That literally with her, all we could do was one change at a time. And it took her months to incorporate those changes.
Yeah.
Because she was trying to reestablish balance, right? So that, because when you're not in balance, I mean, maybe what we should talk about is what happens when you're not in balance. What does your body have to do when you're not in balance?
Boy, it has to compensate for all those things. The liver has to push harder, and the kidneys have to function harder. And you just put the stresses on those organs, or, you're in fight and flight the whole time. You burn your adrenals out, your immune system crashes. Next thing you know, you've got an autoimmune disease or something, right? So something has to give. It's not sustainable. Right?
No.
Yeah, not sustainable when you push the body out of balance like that.
Isn't it amazing that these things that seem so simple can make such a profound difference within the organism? Like water the plant. Water seems so simple, right? I don't have to do these big things, right, to get my plant to thrive. Water and light, they're pretty good. Yeah, if they have what they need.
Yeah. Same with the human body. If it has what it needs, it does pretty good. And it can handle a lot. It really can. I'm amazed how much people can go through and the body still keeps functioning somehow. But
Mhm.
for preventing illnesses in the future, preventing chronic diseases, we know these things are preventable by healthy diet, exercise, good sleep, good water. But I think a lot of folks don't have access to those things, it's or they don't realize that they need to make the shift because it's the norm. It's
Mhm.
just the norm there. So it's education. That's where doctor as teacher comes in. We need to educate our patients. Yeah.
Well,
And
if all that stuff was so bad for us, why would our governments let those businesses be open? If this is going to be saying, hey, don't do that, what about this? I briefly saw a story about some train derailed and spilled, was it vinyl chloride up in, is it Ohio? I don't have the exact details, but apparently a train derailed, it spilled all of this very toxic stuff, and nobody is talking about it to people. Nobody, the news isn't covering it. They're not telling people, like, don't drink your water right now, or get a filtration system, or like, this is when you might think about putting on a mask when you go outside because it's being carried in the air. That's when you might think about a mask.
yeah,
So you're not breathing in those molecules of diesel and the vinyl chloride.
vinyl chloride is highly toxic. Highly toxic. Oh my God. Well, we even had oh, sorry.
A comment. The EPA is saying it's all good. Someone just chatted and said the EPA is reporting that it's all good.
Man, I wouldn't trust that. Well,
No way.
I had a couple patients come in with gut stuff and they're feeling really sick. And then one of my employees started feeling really sick. I'm like, what's going on? And then with the next day or two, they get an alert that their city municipality has E. coli in the water. I'm like, oh, for God's sakes. So even cities and things, the water quality is not good or safe sometimes. And they were on a boil water ordinance for a couple months. The city couldn't figure out how it was getting in the wells. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Did they ever figure it out?
I don't know. Well, obviously they did something. They flushed enough bleach through the whole system that probably killed half the Spokane River after that. But I have flown into the river, but they bleached the system, and it took a couple months for them to get 3 clean. I think they had to get 3 clean water samples before it was good to go. I still be boiling my water for a while, I think. But yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I don't know, the simple things, and we just take a lot for granted. People don't realize the things that can trip them up or make them sick so quickly. Yeah. I wanted to say one of my other little things I pulled up here from Linlar. I think it was from Linlar. Says, for all diseases, health is balance. All symptoms are manifestations of the imbalance. So all symptoms, and this relates back to, all disease comes from toxemia. All disease does. And all symptoms are a manifestation of the imbalance that's occurring. And that's why, particularly in homeopathy, we're looking at all the systems, all the symptoms from each organ, whatever that body's manifesting. And it's very unique to each person, right? Yeah.
So we say all symptoms are a manifestation of imbalance. Maybe let's do a couple of concrete examples. So like headache, fatigue, brain fog, chest pain, even could be symptoms of dehydration. Right? And if you're dehydrated, you're not in balance. Now, that's not exactly well, I guess that would still be toxemia. to some degree, because if you don't have enough fluid flushing things, you are building up toxic levels, and it's the toxemia that's causing the symptoms.
Right.
Okay. So that would be a really obvious one, right? What about auto? Well, no, because then you start getting into the more complicated diagnoses, quote unquote. I mean, can we just diagnose everybody with toxemia? But you get it.
Well, that's what O.G. Carroll did in the sanatorium, or Lindlar did, it's like, or Kellogg did. Remember I hate to bring that movie up, The Road to Wellville, but in that movie, he looks at people's tongue and goes, "Oh my God, you're toxic," So it's like, it's the toxemia that's the basis of the disease process. So that's how all those old nature cure docs would work. It's like, we didn't have diagnosis like Dr. Carroll didn't diagnose my mother with rheumatoid arthritis. He diagnosed her with toxemia from potato intolerance. So
right.
It's a different thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we are two sides of a coin here. So we ask different questions, and therefore, right, we get different answers, and then the treatment is completely different because we're doing something different with the answers we got because we asked different questions.
Right. And then that leads us to different therapies. It leads us to different work with our patients than an allopath would do. I mean, we're not looking for, what's the protocol for rheumatoid arthritis, and what drugs do I need to put this person on? And if these drugs fail, then I have to go to these drugs, and then I have to try the stronger biologics. And all I'm trying to do is take away their joint pain, when I'm making them sicker and sicker and sicker, as was the case of my mother, who ended up in stage 4 liver failure before she saw Dr. Carroll. And so that system doesn't work to sustain healthy life. And what people don't understand, are so amazed at when I tell them in my clinic, is like, well, that's curable. Your body can heal that. And they go, no. I go, you've been told you can't. But I'm here to tell you, you can. Your body is wise. It has the power. It has the ability, and it can do this in the right conditions. And so we're going to create those conditions of health and healing for you. I'm going to guide you, but you're going to do the work. I'm not doing the work. You're doing the work. I'm just going to help you do it. And they got to take, that's the other part, is people have to take responsibility for their health. And that's not something they're taught to do. It's like, oh, the doctor knows, the medical doctor knows what to do. They'll tell you what to do. Well, it's all pharmaceuticals and suppressing symptoms. So, yeah.
We saw a commercial. So, we don't watch network TV because the commercial, I can't handle commercials. And yes. But there is this one show that I really like, and I if y'all can snicker at me, it's okay. But I like Ancient Aliens, and I watch it because of Giorgio Tsoukalos, because he is so vibrant and passionate and dynamic. Now, I don't know that I'm completely convinced. I'm like 90% there.
Is that the guy with the hair?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I love that guy. Yeah. Well, so there was a commercial that came on in between, because to watch it free, you have to put up with the commercials. And I usually mute it, and then we have a couple minutes to do stuff. Well, there was this commercial that came on about eczema. And it was a pharmaceutical commercial about eczema. And my 13 and 14-year-old, who of course I've raised, so they have been trained to think in a certain way, right. They were like, how can that even be legal? To offer them something that's going to make them so much more sick, when they've watched me for their entire life deal with eczema in people.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how it's legal. Maybe there's a group out there, that a parent group or a person group, that you could join and make it illegal to have those pharmaceutical commercials on TV, because they're illegal in Europe.
Yeah. It's really intriguing. There was a one of these political guys on TV talking about, usually talks about, left, far right, far left, and all this stuff. But he actually put up a graph of like, I'm really worried about the status of us citizens in the United States, because he had a graph of the health and the lifespan of Americans, and then suddenly they drop, and other countries still rising, but the United States citizens has greatly dropped. And it was right at COVID, but he says, this isn't making sense. I know there's something wrong. I just don't know what's wrong. And I'm like, it's the pharmaceutical industry, you guys. It was clear to me that it's because of big pharma and big agra that all this stuff has happened, and he couldn't figure it out, but he just wanted to send up this alert, like something's happening in the United States. I should go back and grab that graph he had, because it was quite shocking, and it's really telling about our pharmaceutical control of our medical industry and how powerful it is. It's really it's really our downfall right here in the US. And he even said we're the most, one of the wealthiest countries in the world. We have all of this technology, and yet we're failing. Yeah.
Well, it diminishes the wonderfulness of those few pharmaceuticals that are, I think, important, like insulin or thyroid, right? If your thyroid's been killed. So there are things out there that people, they can't function as well without them, or function at all without them.
Right.
Did they just get greedy?
Oh, for sure. It's all about money, right? It's not about the health of the individual or the patient. Really, it's the pushing the pharmaceutical agenda. It's become so extreme. I saw an article recently about how the medical schools are now being pretty much controlled by the pharmaceutical industry. How much money is going into the med schools from the pharmaceutical industry. I remember at NCNM, we wouldn't even let reps into NCNM because they didn't want that to influence the students. And that was even just from an herbal company. That was ridiculous. But look what's happening right now with the medical schools. And some of them actually have free education. Some of the med schools on the East Coast, it's free. You don't come out with any debt because it's all been paid by the pharmaceutical companies. So I think that's criminal in my mind. But
it would be really awesome if we could figure out how to, I think it was China. In China, it was a talk, we were talking about it with Jim one time, I think on a Vital Conversation, and he said, well, when you go into a Chinese hospital, you get triaged for what can be done by traditional Chinese medicine right there on the spot, and what needs to be elevated for more diagnostics and a deeper look. And that they work together on this because they both believe in each other's approach to medicine. But I would have to ask the question, do all physicians, regardless of the degree, going through training in China, do they get the basics of the body can be healthy, the body can heal itself, the body needs these things to be healthy? Like, do they get that core training? And then some people can diverge into emergency medicine or surgery. I was just thinking about, is there a model where we can all play together on the playground and do what's best for each person in an individualized way? We could, the world would shift. The way people think about health would shift. You wouldn't need that many doctors. We have so many doctors right now in the United States. Do we really need all of these doctors? Well, we do because of what we're taught.
Well, and because of how sick the public is.
Yes. That's what I think happened with COVID. I know I'm not no conspiracy theory here, but I think on a whole, on the average person is so not in balance, therefore not healthy, that something came along that wasn't even completely novel, right? It was a mutated form of something before, and that little bit of a change were so not in balance and not healthy that that was devastating to people.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. And it can happen again because the health of the United States citizen is so bad.
Yes.
You know, we're so devitalized. We lack minerals. We lack basic nutrition. Our munctaries are so congested. Any little thing can take you down. It's really scary. And though they're not little things, these things are super bugs. You know, they're super bugs. And even with all, and because of all of the antibiotics and things we've used, we've created super staph infections, MRSA, and all these things. So we have these super bugs out there that are really harder, much harder to treat, even in a pretty healthy person. So, so we've created that world, and then we've devitalized all the foods, and you know, it's a perfect storm. Yeah, way out of balance. We need to permaculture the United States, Eli. That's what we need to do.
Well, I've started my little spot here in northeastern Oklahoma, but you know, we came in July of 2021, and this place was, well, it was starving. The pastures were packed and brown. The trees were wilty and clearly suffering. There were some animals around, squirrels and birds and whatever, but not as much as you'd expect. I mean, we're in the wilderness, right? Wow. And over 2 years, well, a year and a half, by putting minerals back into the soil, by you know, bringing in good quality water, by using cover crops, by feeding the land and bringing it back to balance. What we see now as spring is coming here, well, in a couple months, but you know, it's Oklahoma. It can be spring today and the dead of winter again tomorrow. We are seeing things bloom and flourish in a way that was not present a year and a half ago. And it's, you know, we are nature. We're part of that nature. And so it's the same way, right? Give it, just love it just a little bit. And I mean, it's so exciting. I wish everybody had to spend 6 months out in a natural setting somewhere away from society and just watch the laws of nature in action. Like, it's so visible if you look for it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always there. It'll always be there. So that's the balance. That's the balance we're looking at.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got any more good quotes there?
Let's see. What else did I write down? Oh, naturopathy is the ecosystem of the body. Ooh. I don't know who wrote that. I didn't write down who wrote that. Active disease is corrective. Chronic disease is an adaptation response by a weakened system.
Oh, that's good. Say that again.
Chronic disease is an adaptation response by a weakened system.
Oh.
I think that's Lindlar.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
good, because people think of chronic disease as something that happened to them, not something that happened within them. Right? Right.
Right. They think it happened to. So my dad always said something jumped on their back and now they've got that disease. It's like,
yeah.
He would always say, if you can't have it unless you make it. You can't have it unless you made it. Your body made that. And I thought that was really interesting. Here's one in the Laws of Cure by Lynn Lahr. Every acute disease is the result of a cleansing and healing effort of nature. This law, thoroughly understood and applied in the treatment of diseases, will eventually do more for medical science what the discovery of other natural laws has done for physics, astronomy, chemistry, and other exact sciences. It will, by demonstrating the unity of disease and treatment, transform the medical empiricism and confusion of the past and present into an exact science. Failure to understand this fundamental law of cure accounts for the confusion on the part of exponents of the different schools of healing science and for the greater part of human suffering. Nature cure philosophy never loses sight of the fundamental law of cure. While allopathy regards acute disease conditions as in themselves harmful and hostile to health and life as something to be cured by a drug, ice, or knife, the nature cure school regards these forcible house cleanings as beneficial and necessary so long as human beings continue to disregard nature's laws.
Wow.
Thank God we got this written down in this book. You know, it's
Well, I was just going to say, thank goodness for the humans that came before us who observed and recorded the laws of nature and how they work, and then taught somebody who eventually taught us, okay, well, how do you come in line with the laws of nature? What are they? I mean, this is what we're talking about this year, right?
Right. That's this whole season of talks. You know, we've done the vis medicatrix naturae. We've done health is balance now. Next one, we're going to work on suppression. And there's about 10 more. So, yeah. I think there's a question in the chat here. Do you see that, Eli?
Yep.
I have a question on working with breastfeeding mothers and infants or toddlers coming in with anxiety and panic attacks. Oh, lost my tray. Previously healthy, how to approach this vitalistically when the root causes are likely the lack of sleep stress and that she can't necessarily change. New practitioner lacking experience and any general insights. So you're talking about a mother who's overwhelmed, it sounds like. With infants and toddlers coming in with anxiety and panic attacks previously. So mom needs a support group there. Mom needs a helper. And previously it was always grandmas were around to help take the burden. Let the mom go sleep and rest. Don't worry, grandma's got the other ones taken care of if there's other little people in the house. And she's going to cook up something, so you can just rest. You don't have to be on your feet trying to cook and do laundry and everything at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it used to be. I can tell you that's not how it was for me in medical school. I had 2 little girls and I was going through med school and we were always constantly worried about money. And I had to do it all. And it was, when you're in that, it's a lot. So I would say that mom needs adrenal support, big time.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I would put that mom on is adrenotrophin or some sort of adrenal glandulars like cytozyme AD, and maybe ginseng in the morning, and then make sure she takes naps and gets a break or gets to do a walk by herself.
Mm-hmm.
A nice bath, whatever that, a nice, hot bath or whatever that gal needs to get support. And she needs to maybe reach out and get support.
So one thing that I have done over the years for moms, especially, or single dads, right, for whatever reason, is connect with the Honor Society. So both the Junior National Honor Society and the National Honor Society, because these teenagers are required to get volunteer hours in to maintain their status. And for kids who want to go to college, being part of the Honor Society is something that is important to them. And you can pretty easily find that high schooler, they're mature, their grades are good, like they're trustworthy, right? Many of them are, and they come in, so you don't have to have extra money to pay them, and they come in and they volunteer to get their hours for the Honor Society. And so that's just a resource for people to think about. If you don't belong to a church and there aren't support groups around, National Honor Societies everywhere. So that's something to think about. And then they could come in for the afternoon. Mom could have a break.
Yeah, maybe they could do the dishes and do a load of laundry, or play with the little ones or something while mom's just taking care of the baby. Or
Yep.
Absolutely. That's a great resource. I hadn't thought of that. I did that in the Honor Society. I went and worked at Lakeland Village, which is a home here for developmentally disabled adults.
Yeah. Well, both of the kids are doing it, and that they're getting their hours in now, and they're doing things they love. But I know there's a lot of kids in that community.
Yeah. That's neat. I hadn't thought of that. Well, I hope, Karen, that answered a little bit of your question there.
I would add to that, not just the adrenal support, I would also think about the state of the pH of her body, because when you get stressed and you get tired, the pH is going to go wacky. She's going to become very acidic, and that's going to, she's going to have aches and pains, and she's not going to sleep well when she does get a chance to sleep. And maybe something simple like a Beeler's broth. Right? And she could sip on Beeler's broth, and it's pretty easy to find that recipe. It's just you boil a bunch of veggies and you make an alkalinizing broth. That also could probably help her breast milk if she's struggling with her breast milk at all too.
Yeah. Those are great ideas. Same as Dr. Bastier's soup. I don't know, Eli, is Beeler's broth the same as Dr. Bastier's soup?
I don't know. I don't think so. What is Dr. Bastier's soup? I don't know about this.
Yeah, I don't remember okay, there's
all his is the cabbage juice based. Yeah, no, it's different.
Yeah, Beeler's broth is different. It's really high in potassium. And if you're potato intolerant, instead of the broth with potato, I have people put in rutabagas or turnips, other starchy roots, instead of the potato part. Yeah, rutabaga. Yep.
Yep.
Love it.
Are we time for Q&As?
Yep, we got time for Q&As. Just a few more minutes here. Thanks for doing this with me, Eli. These are great. I love doing these axioms.
Oh, it recenters me. I'm all by myself out here. The closest ND to me, I think, is Springfield, Missouri. There's a few people in Oklahoma or in Tulsa, which is an hour from me, but they're super busy. And I don't know that they're part of NMI. So I need this. I need this because when you are living life and everybody tells you it's a square, but it's a circle, eventually you start to say to yourself, okay, is that maybe a square and I've got it all wrong? It's not a circle. Like, you got to be really strong. You've got to see the results in clinical practice to say, well, y'all can think that's a square. It's a circle. It is always going to be a circle.
Yeah.
But okay.
I know. You get in the weeds there, and you have to kind of remember the focus, you just focus back on what's worked. And that's the advantage we have of being in practice for a while, is we've seen it work. And that's why NMI is here, to help coach the young docs who haven't seen as much, who aren't as confident or grounded, or or don't know because you didn't get that shown to you in a clinical setting, that's the right path to take. So, somebody's asking, like, am I teaching the Carol food intolerance again? Jared just asked me that too, because we got so much going on this spring with the Vital Gathering in the spring. I'm probably going to push the Carol food intolerance method class to the fall. We'll just have one this year and do it in the fall.
I can come then if you do that.
Let's do
that. Would be so cool.
Yeah. There's just too much happening this spring, and it's just a lot to do. So that's my thinking. Yeah. Yeah.
And what about the hydro class?
Probably in the fall as well. I just kind of don't have the bandwidth right now. I just hired another physician, Dr. Kirsten Harrison, and she's actually here on the call. And we're pretty booked. We are booked up. We're slammed right now at the clinic. And we have the homeopathy course that you, Eli, put together. We're going to be giving that to our patients in March.
Oh,
And
exciting.
so every Friday they're coming for 2 hours for the month, and we're rolling out that class. We just got a lot going, and then with NMI, being the president of NMI, and all the things we've got going here with NMI, I just don't have the bandwidth. But hopefully, well, for sure, I'll do it in the fall. I'll do both those classes in the fall.
That is so cool. I'm so excited. Are you going to have bees this year, this spring?
I am. That's another reason I don't want to do these classes in the spring. I've got 3 hives coming in. Unfortunately, they might come in right at the weekend of the Vital Gathering, and I'm trying to figure out how am I supposed to get 3 colonies of bees while I'm not in town. So hopefully they come in the weekend before. I'm crossing my fingers that they come in early, and then I can get the hives established before I leave town. But yeah, I've got 3 hives, and this year I'm going to put a couple hives in a new place. I've got a connection to a gal who has a lavender farm. So I'm going to get some lavender honey this year. I'm really excited about that.
That's cool.
And I'm kind of worried about putting bees here at my home property because there's a bear back here. I can see bear scat, and I don't have fencing around the hives. And so before I bring the hives back here at home, I've got to enclose a big fenced area because that bear's just going to rip them apart.
Oh,
so,
to get to that honey, you betcha.
Oh, yeah, my girlfriend lost about 12 hives 2 years ago to a black bear, not far from here. And so I just can't do that. It's just so much money.
Yeah.
She had to start from scratch. All of the wood frames and everything were just busted up. So
Oh, what a bummer.
yeah. So anyway, yeah, I got bees coming in. Really excited about that. Can't wait. Haven't had bees since before COVID.
Oh, wow.
Since COVID. So it's been a couple of years. Yeah.
We're going to try it again. We had them last year, but the drought, well, there were no flowers.
Yeah.
It's very dry, very hot. So we're going to try it again this year. And we're planting wildflowers, although I know we could never plant enough. Like,
every little bit helps. Every little bit
right?
helps. It really does. Yeah. Yeah. Grow some sunflowers. Can you grow some sunflowers?
I do. I have them in my little packet to put in. Yes.
Yeah. That's a really helpful one kind of later in summer because they need the pollen. They need the pollen then. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really good. Thank you for that tip for sure. So what do we want to leave people with as they go forth into practice now for the next month? Health is balance, and it's what you're supposed to be helping your patient establish, right, in their life. It's not up to us to establish that balance. We're supposed to know where the imbalances are. Like, that's our job. Let's help them figure out the imbalance, often toxemia, and then give them the information they need and the stuff that their body might need to reestablish that balance. I think that's what I'm going to think about over this month. What would you add to that?
No, I think that's it. Look at look at their metabolism and organ systems and what is out of balance for that person. And it might not be physical, might be mental, emotional, might be the stress load, their life. Yeah. Look at their support group, who's around them, who can help them.
Yeah.
People often don't reach out for that situation. So, yeah.
And aren't we talking about toxemia at the Vital Gathering this year? Or was that last year?
I think that was last year. We're doing good, aren't we? Oh my God.
Whoa, life is a whirlwind tornado.
Well, the next month, we're going to talk about suppression. The third axiom there is suppression. And I'll be posting out more quotes or part of Linlar to read or things, so people can do a little homework ahead of time. So, yeah.
That sounds good. I have a case to bring to that, which
great.
was such a good textbook example of the progression of chronic illness in a body over 15 years of one suppressive move after another, after another, after another, and what happened when we unsuppressed. Because man, they had a really tough journey for a little bit. Because all that stuff had to come out. It had to fix itself. And what did we see? We saw symptoms of healing. And so it's not a super long case. It's probably taking me about 5 minutes to tell it, but I'll bring that for next time.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. I'll think of one too. Yep. All right, we did it. Thank you everybody for joining. As always, have a great day, and we're going to see you next time on the Vital Conversation.
Thanks for joining me today. For those of you interested in learning more about the teachings that are offered at the Naturopathic Medicine Institute and becoming a public member, they have both free and paid, visit thevitalnd.org. For those of you interested in my books and other offerings, I get emails and texts from y'all all the time. Here's just a short summary where you can find them. The Unvaccinated Child is a book. It's a resource guide for parents and caregivers to navigate childhood illnesses in a natural and healthy way. The intended group was the unvaccinated population, but it turns out it's an important resource for vaccinated as well, since we know vaccines do not necessarily prevent the illnesses. Smoke Rings is a book I wrote to help smokers. It is judgment-free. It doesn't matter to me what choice you make in your life, but if you're a smoker, love a smoker, used to smoke, continue to smoke, trying to quit, it doesn't matter. This book helps you be your healthiest version along any step of the way. My most recent book, Homeopathy, A Foundational Approach. This is a great book for someone, whether they're a complete beginner or they're already practicing homeopathy. It starts at the beginning and guides you through the basics and into first aid and acute practice and prescribing, so you can start using homeopathy right away. My workshops and courses can be found at either ecampnd.com or longshadowsranch.net. Again, thank you for joining me. Thank you for your support, and have a great week.